I feel like it was worth it. It was worth it to get it out there for me and my center. I had no idea, honestly, that what I was going up against was going to be as big of a deal as it was, honestly.
The facts, dates, and events presented in this video are from the member's best recollection and may not be fully accurate. This video is intended for entertainment purposes only. Always consult with your local union about your rights and duties at your workplace. The opinions shared on this video are our own and do not necessarily represent my employer's positions, strategies, or opinions. All views shared are protected under the National Labor Relations Act.
What is going on, everybody? So today I have Greg Kerwood out of Local 25 in Boston and Chrissy out of Local 767 in Fort Worth, Texas. And we're going to be covering, harassments. Now, I've been with the company for a very long time, 25 years. And, I was doing it for 12, and we got a lot of grievances filed on harassment. In the past, they would always be settled as company will comply, or they were used, if you were ever discharged, to try to help improve your case. It was nothing that really had a lot of teeth to it because harassment is kind of a gray area language. What you view as harassment, the other person may not. But then there's been some pretty crazy cases. One that goes pretty much above and beyond craziness, and that would be Chrissy's here, which, she's going to tell her story, and I'm going to try to hold back and not break something as she says it. So, Chrissy, you want to go ahead and tell us what your story is?
So my name is Chrissy Greasy. I'm a driver out of the Lone Star Hub for the Arlington Center. I had started as a driver in October of 2020, and everything was going swimmingly as I was learning the job and this and that. Basically, what it boiled down to was my center manager had been told things by other members, other drivers. So she decided she was going to get her eyes set on me and she wanted me fired. So she started harassing and retaliating me almost daily. What led up to this case was something that she was sure that I had altered my uniform shorts. And I had done nothing of the sort. I didn't even know where this was coming from. She's pulling me aside, embarrassing me in front of everybody. She's getting so close to me. She's nitpicking at me. She's making accusations and saying that I must need attention at home or something. She's basically coming out and saying I'm a little well, she just started hammering us. At that time, she was known to just harass everybody. I mean, we had a center of about 88 drivers, and the stats on her that the union had done in the year's time, it was over 1,000 grievances just on intent to suspend and intent to terminate. And she did manage to get a lot of drivers on a point of order firings. Well, she just didn't want to give it up with me, and she kept throwing me to the wolves any chance she got. It got to the point where I was filing grievances, Article 37s, left and right on this.
Was she just kind of like being very arrogant about this whole thing, all these grievances being filed, and did she think she was completely bulletproof?
She absolutely did. And she came out and told us that herself. She said, "You guys just keep on doing this. It's not going to go anywhere. My job is easy. I don't have to do a thing." Da 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 da.
You end up going to panel, and let's start from the beginning, right? So were you at your local hearing at all?
I went to the lower panel, but I wasn't in the local hub level
Okay.
when this was being discussed.
Okay. And I know a lot of people watching this, they're in different supplements. We're in the Southern supplement, so things are done a little bit differently. We have a Southern region panel, and you went to that, correct? Which means that
That is correct.
Was it in your state or no?
It was in Clearwater, Florida.
So you had to fly from Texas to Clearwater. So, and out of your own money and stay in a hotel on your own dime, but you knew that she wasn't going to stop if you didn't take this to the streets, so to speak, right? So,
Absolutely.
what was your experience in Clearwater?
It was nerve-wracking to get up there and tell my story. Just the waiting in the waiting rooms, I didn't know what to expect. Soon as I came in, I guess the union decided, to present their case. They laid out the statistics for the center in the last year. How many intent to suspends, intent to terminates, how many drivers got fired under this center manager, and all the harassment grievances that were also filed in that same year, including my case.
What was the results from that hearing?
It ended up being deadlocked.
All right, so then you have deadlocks to go to. Now, where was the deadlock at?
I believe we did the deadlock in Clearwater as well.
So you had to fly out again to Clearwater and stay at the hotel
Absolutely.
again. So, and just let everybody know, generally these cases when they're done, Southern Region Panel, deadlock, everything else, they're usually 3 days. So it's like 3 days of sitting in the lobby waiting for your name to be called to be pulled into this hearing. So when you had the hearing, how did that go when you went to deadlocks?
Well, it kind of went similar to the first one. Both the union and the company side judges were just appalled. They couldn't make up their mind. They hit another deadlock.
All right, deadlock number 2. Now, where's the second deadlock at?
That one, I think what ended up happening with that is that it rolled over to national panel.
Okay, so saved you some airfare, saved you some time at the hotel. Now we have the national panel. Now, where was that at?
That was actually in Washington, D.C., right down the road from the IBT
Oh, that's
headquarters.
beautiful. So you get to fly out to Washington, and obviously this has costed quite a bit of money at this point. Now, what made you to the level that you're willing to spend so much time and money to fight this?
I feel like it was worth it. It was worth it to get it out there for me and my center. I had no idea, honestly, that what I was going up against was going to be as big of a deal as it was, honestly.
And also, on top of it, we've never had a harassment grievance actually get paid at this point. So it's kind of like, you know, are you spinning your wheels or not? But you felt like it was worth it in the end, right? To see if you could be the first one
Absolutely.
ever to get paid for harassment.
Well, I feel like it's important that I went to panel. And as it turns out, I feel a little even better about it because I think it's paved the way so that people don't feel discouraged or afraid to not file these Article 37 grievances when they have these things happening to them. That was what was happening so often. It just really breaks a person and a center down, when you feel like it goes nowhere.
And so you go down to national, and what's your experiences at national?
It was very similar to the other panels, except the company side decided to throw a curveball in there. They brought up something that they had been holding on to the entire time, which were these notorious ballerina photos that I took in the UPS uniform on my lunch break. I believe my center manager got a hold of these through other sources, and she never wanted to give this up. And while I say this, every time I was going to panels, she was never present. She always had an excuse why she couldn't attend. So I was just out there up against, just me, because she wouldn't even come and face me for these.
And so I'm out of curiosity, when you're up at panel and you got the company coming at you, like what type of stuff were they trying to hurl at you?
They were trying to spin it in the way that, don't you think she has a right to say something to you about your uniform or this or that? They were just trying to say the same things that she was, but they didn't understand it on the level that this was more than just a strict center manager. This was somebody that wanted to bring misery everywhere she went and hurt as much people as she could and, get people fired.
When you go through your panel and they're trying to accuse you of this person that you're not, and you end up getting the results. I mean, how did that go?
We all got kicked out of the room at some point. I guess the company and the union couldn't agree again, and I didn't even understand what that meant. But we did have an arbitrator on site, listening in the whole time. So I got word that the arbitrator agreed with our side on this.
Oh, wow. So at that point, you found out that you were the first person ever to be paid on a harassment grievance. What type of reception did you get for that?
It was intense. I had people from other locals, presidents of other locals, everybody congratulating me, and it was an exciting moment.
And you're on the show. So, no, that's
Uh,
awesome though.
mhm.
So you basically, this is a huge battle. A lot of time, energy, money. A lot of people, unfortunately, just a lot of emotions being rolled into it. And it's hard because you kind of have a more of an extreme case, right? She was saying that you were altering your uniform when you weren't. She was trying to bring up personal photos that were privated on your Facebook account and use them against you. That's almost like going above and beyond of what, you know, of boundaries, right?
Yeah,
So it's like, don't you have any time to yourself? Like, it feels like you're always dealing with this, even when you're clocked out, because it's almost it's an invasion of privacy in a lot of ways. So
it is.
I think that's, I mean, first of all, congratulations. I think everybody would agree that, you went through all this and, you went through obviously time, energy, money to get these results. You got the results now. And now we set that precedent that other people can follow, right? Now, if you had to give any advice to people, what would it be?
I would say be as detailed as possible when supervisors, management, the company is coming at you with any of this, whether it's for your write-ups or if it's harassment. Be detailed and always file these grievances. You got to file, 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 and don't give up. Don't let it discourage you. Just trust the process.
So, Greg, you just had a win in your local as well. I know 804 won theirs, but what happened in your local to get you to win a harassment grievance?
Well, we had a division manager who took it upon himself to make some discriminatory, arguably racist statements concerning an alternate steward. Um, he refused to apologize, insisted that everybody who told their story, we had witnesses, the whole 9 yards. He insisted everybody was lying. Similar to Chrissy's story, got pushed up to panel, deadlocked, then went to the national panel. I think there's no question it benefited from Chrissy's case, setting the precedent. But I mean, with 804, the important thing I think is that people understand, harassment is a way of life at UPS. Anybody who's been there long enough knows that. And prior, during the Hoffa administration, the national panel basically did nothing. And so it turned in sort of this apathy, as you said, what's the point? We're spinning our wheels. Why file this? Why bother? And I think we're seeing that under the new administration, that has changed. We've had also language improvement, went from a 3-day penalty to a 5-day penalty. But the big thing is that, the panel is willing to take these cases and fight them. And so it's very important that people understand that and sort of shift the mentality of, you're being harassed, file that grievance, put it in. They may not all go to national panel, but national panel decisions have a way of trickling down to local level decisions. And it may be that labor managers start settling some of these at a lower level, for pay, because they know they're going to lose at the national level.
And for any managers that are stumbling across this channel watching this, just treat people better, please. All right? That's all there is to it. Anyways, shout outs. Chrissy, You're a guest on this show. Shout outs. Who do you want to shout out?
I want to shout out to our awesome union, New Vision, Local 767. We really couldn't have gotten this off of its feet without them.
Greg, shout outs. Who are you going to shout out?
My shout out is going to go to Chrissy, not only for being on this show and telling her story bravely, but for having the fortitude to fight and take on this case. There are a lot of folks who would have backed down, who would have shrugged their shoulders and moved on. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of strength to do the right thing, especially when you feel like the world is against you. I'm glad that you did. I think we're all glad that you did. I'm glad that you reaped some of the rewards, and I hope that others will see this as an inspiration to fight their own fight.
Absolutely. You know, and my shout out, listen, we had big changes last week at our local. We got our bylaws changed. We now have steward elections. So my shout out goes to everybody who attended and to the local 720 e-board for being in favor of this. I think this is going to help out a lot of people in our local and in the future for anybody who comes in. And so if you're out of local 720 in Atlanta, Georgia, or anywhere around it, we're talking about Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama. We're going to be having a contract enforcement class. It's going to be on March 24th from 2 to 4 p.m. at local 728. You're welcome to come. And so if you haven't done so already, follow the UPS contract enforcement group. Greg Kerwood runs that. And that's all I got. Love you guys. I'll see you next time.